Hello and welcome to Kitco Mining with me, Paul Harris, here in Dawson in Yukon, Canada at the Yukon Mining Investment Conference. Today we're talking about copper and gold exploration and many other things beside. And I have great pleasure to be joined by Greg Johnson, CEO and Chair of Metallic Minerals. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, thanks. Glad to be here with you.
Let's start off with, I was on the site visit to Metallic Minerals on Monday, and you took us to see your alluvial operations or your alluvial properties. That's perhaps a strange thing in this day and age for many people to sort of get their head around. Why alluvial? Why is alluvial in your portfolio?
Yeah, so, as part of our team has a background with Nova Gold Resources, which some investors may be familiar with. It's a $3 billion market cap developer focused in Alaska. In the early days at Nova Gold, back in the bear market of the last cycle, we acquired a sand and gravel operation in Nome, Alaska that helped us pay the bills, helped us finance the company and go after the giant Donlin Creek deposit. And so in 2017, when Bill Harris, one of the original founders actually of Metallic Minerals, approached us with this large block of unmined Klondike alluvial, it kind of rang a bell for us. It was like, hey, we've seen this work well before to help fund a company. It's kind of unique for a junior explorer to have cash flow. So we're now the third largest holder of alluvial ground in the Klondike. And we've leased it to Parker Schnabel, the Gold Rush TV guy, and they basically are ramping up. This is our startup year there, but they're the first operator of a large block of ground that will take a 10 to 15% royalty. And so it can help cover the cost of running a public company. And eventually we have room for up to 10 operators. So it might even be something that could allow us to be almost completely self-funded as an exploration stage company. So a bit unusual, but kind of interesting. And we think it could be important for kind of preserving our share capital structure for our shareholders.
It was a fascinating day, and listening to the way that Parker talks through their his economic model, slightly different, but at the end of the day, it's all about making money and covering costs and things like that. Fascinating day. And let's talk a little bit about capital markets, because having that income stream in these current capital markets, which are pretty brutal for junior gold explorers and project generators, I mean, that's obviously very, very welcome. What's your view on the current capital markets and the lack of love that gold explorers are experiencing?
I think you said it well. It is a lack of love. I mean, last cycle, 99, 2001, you had about a 2 or 3 year kind of bear market low consolidation period. We hit our first low in this sector in 2016, and then another in 2019, another low in 2020, and now a third low for the juniors in January of 2023. So we're running on 6-7 years of consolidation. It has been a very challenging market to raise capital. Good projects have been attracting some money. We're seeing recent investments like the investment by Newcrest into Metallic Minerals at a strategic level that's helping to fund some of these things. But it is a challenging market, even though the producers in many cases are doing quite well right now. The explorer developers are struggling to be able to attract perhaps that higher risk capital that's looking for that greater return in comparison with other sectors. But good projects are attracting talent, are attracting funding, and we think that if we just keep focusing on scale and grade and working on projects that can add value, that we'll be able to make it through this sector, and that it looks very promising as we look forward over the next 6 to 10 years in this commodity cycle.
Okay, thank you. Now, in addition to the alluvial properties you have here in Yukon, you've also got the Keno project, which is pretty much adjacent to what's now Hecla Mining's Keno Hill mine, which they're refurbishing and bringing back into production. Tell us a little bit about your Keno project. Yeah,
so we consolidated, amazingly, another 40 smaller operations into our Keno Hill holding. So it's kind of the less explored part of the Keno district, directly adjacent and interfingered with Hecla. Hecla is going back into production this year. We are producing our first resource, a 43-101 resource on 3 of our 5 most advanced targets. So really demonstrating we've got the same system. It's a continuation of the same geology off to the east, and we're starting to take that to first resources. So potential for that material to be run through the central mill in the district, or for these larger potential open pit targets that we're made some new discoveries on in Keno. We may have something that's bigger and could be amenable to open pit mining on those targets.
Are you in discussions with Hecla about that, or is that a bit preliminary?
Well, we've always had a good working rapport with Alexco, who Hecla acquired last year, and we've continued those discussions with Hecla. We've been pleased to see them expand their exploration effort and focus. And they're drilling and having success deeper on Birmingham and Flame and Moth. What's exciting about our property, I think even from their perspective, is on the road. These are the same geology, but these are potentially open, very shallow, start right at surface deposits that could be open pittable.
So is that something that's potentially attractive to them from a takeover point of view, or they've got a mill facility, so is it potentially attractive to toll process your material in their operation?
Either could work, and we're certainly amenable to that ourselves in terms of how we best maximize value. But it's great to have that mill. It's great to have that infrastructure, there. I think the longer term, we see that other half of the district has a lot of unexplored value. So let's develop that value and understand it.
Okay. Now, the company's also got the La Plata project in Colorado, the United States, and that's got more of a copper focus to it. What's the plan there?
Yeah, so it is a historic high-grade silver and gold vein district, epithermal district, but in the center of it is a copper-gold porphyry system. So this is our third year of exploration. We had a big discovery in 2022 that we announced in early 2023. That's what attracted Newcrest to make their investment. 816 meters of continuous mineralization starting at surface. So biggest discovery at La Plata ever, biggest drill hole, wide open to the north and east. We're just starting drilling on that. So it's going to be an exciting period ahead. And Newcrest investment, 9.5% strategic equity investment, is funding that first phase program of 5,000 meters. And our shareholders are pretty excited because the system remains completely open from that discovery hole.
It's an interesting moment in time, isn't it? Because Newcrest obviously is being taken over by Newmont. So your 9.9% shareholder will soon become Newmont. And Newmont's made it very clear that they see the sort of Pacific Northwest, to perhaps give that designation to it, as a future key hub or region for them. They're looking at gold, they're looking at copper. They'll have a couple of mines through the acquisition of Newcrest. They've got a couple of exploration development projects. And of course, here in Yukon, they've got the coffee project. So Yukon seems to be very much part of their thinking as they take this next step forward in their development.
Absolutely, and we see the team we're working with right now, these guys are experts in copper gold systems with Newcrest. They expect to be able to continue that focus, and with the work, as you said, in the Northwest by Newmont already, the GT Gold acquisition up in the Golden Triangle, some of the work they're doing up in Yukon, and now our project, which is near their headquarters in Denver, Colorado for Newmont. It's all seems to really fit well with that copper gold focus in terms of new expansion and new efforts that way.
Excellent. So we've talked loosely over sort of three of your projects. What are the main goals for this year? Where do you want to end this year?
So big goals for us on the back of that discovery hole at La Plata. We're going to be expanding the resource. An updated resource will be coming out here in the month at La Plata. And then the drill program this year is designed to grow that resource even further, particularly to understand how big that higher grade zone is. So the drilling will be focused on that, a 5,000 meter drill program. Secondly, at Keno Hill next door to Hecla, we are delivering the first 43-101 resource on 3 of the 5 advanced targets there. We'll be starting a drill program later in the season to grow those resource areas which remain open. And then first production starting in August of this year on the alluvials with Parker Schnabel, looking at first production of royalties to metallic minerals from that project. So it's going to be a really exciting year for us in 2023.
A lot going on, definitely. Greg Johnson, CEO and Chair of Metallic Minerals, thank you very much for joining us today.
Great to be here. Thank you.
And stay tuned to Kitco Mining for more from the Yukon Mining Investment Conference.